स्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ नमः प्रणवार्थाय शुद्धज्ञानैकमूर्तये निर्मलाय प्रशान्ताय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। At least I can see all the names. Sometimes I see, iPad 9378 45 or something like that. I don't even know who I'm talking to. What we are trying to understand is extremely important. It looks like a story. It is a story, Akhyayika. But a story with a lot of meaning and a lot of purpose for us in our life. It's not only a story. Ajiryatam amritanam upetya
अजीर्यतामृतानामुपेत्य
Jiryan martya kvadasthas prajanan
जीर्यन्मर्त्यपदस्तानन्
Abhidhyayan varnarati pramodan
अभिध्यायान् वर्णरतिप्रमोदान्
Ati dirghe jivite korameta
अतिदीर्घे जीविते घोरमेत
Yasminnidam vichikitsanti mrityo
यस्मिन्निदं विचिकित्सन्ति
मृत्यु
Yat samparaye mahati bruhinastat
यत्सम्पराये महतिर्भुवनस्तत्
Yoyam varo gudamanupravishtaha
योऽयं वरो गूढमनुप्रविष्टः
Anyam tasman nachiketa vrinite
नान्यं
तस्मात्
तस्मान्नचिकेता वृणीते
Nachiketa makes it clear that his request for a third boon has to deal with Utkrishta Purushartha. Dharmaja will address this in the next verse. That Purushartha, that gain of human end, which is above anything else. And he says, Ajiryatam amritanam upetya, I have had the fortune to come to a Devaloka. Dharmaraja is a Devata. And we have to understand what Devata is. There is only one Ishvara. And that Ishvara, we will learn, is formless, attributeless Ishvara. And that Ishvara, the Mahavayakya tells us, is I. in the beginning, it looks like a very high improbable statement. I is that one Parameshwara, who is avyaya, partless. Who is I? Which is I? Devatas, in any form, are really our own creations. Our own creations in whom we imbue enormous powers. Not the absolute sarvajñatvam, sarvashaktimatvam, but significantly higher power, higher knowledge than we as mortals possess. Like a stepping stone, if you want. Devatas help us gain that understanding. Devatas help us by giving certain anugraha. So areas which we need to climb over, they help us. They are like human beings, but of a much higher stature. Remember, Yamadharmaraja said, when he asked for this boon, that there is a doubt about prete, what happens after death. Is there something? What is it? What is the nature of that? He said, you are not the only one who has doubts about this. Devairatrapi vichikitsitam kila. This is a question even most devas also have a problem with. Then how come you as a deva know? He knows. So devatas or anybody, Manushya, Devata, anybody who understands this knowledge, although he or she retains that form, retains that function, is actually that Ekameva Advitiya Brahman. That's why Shastra says, Brahmavit, Brahma eva bhavati. Anybody who knows Brahman is Brahman. Because what do you know? What is it that all this teaching is? Aikyam. The sameness, the non-difference between I and that one Ekameva Advitiyam. Therefore, anybody who knows obviously is the same. Even Manushya. Once this is understood, assimilated, aparoksha jnanam is there. Even though the Manushya retains that form, retains that function, and retains all the limitations of the Sharira, of the Manas, of the Indriyas, with which he started. He has lost the I-ness. That was a wrong notion. He is Brahman. A guru who has understood, who is not only just a Shrotriya and Brahmanistha, but is a Jnani. As far as the Shishya is concerned, he is the same as Dakshinamurti. He or she is the same as Dakshinamurti. no different from Dakshinamurti. The Shishya may or may not have understood the difference, but the Guru has understood, and therefore the Guru is the same as the Dakshinamurti. So devatas exist in another plane. We call them lokas. And here is one devata who is a jnani. Now, whether the jnani, like I said, is a manushya or a devata, he is in a position, he or she is in a position to make others understand, provided the Shishya has all the necessary qualities, has fulfilled all conditions to gain this knowledge. Has the adhikaritvam, has the punya, has the commitment, has total mastery over ragadvesha, has clarity of purpose, mukshutvam, and arising from there, atma anatma viveka, nitya anitya viveka. What is nitya, what is anitya? An area where Nachiketa seems to understand. He said very clearly that these are shobhava, they are anitya. There is something which is nitya which I want to understand. And he has all the Shamadamadi Shatka Sampatti. Then there is no doubt at all, he too will gain the same knowledge that I am non-separate. I don't want to use the word I am. I is non-separate from Parameshwara. Here he's saying, Ajiryatam amritanam upetya, having reached you, hey Dharmaraja, you're not only a devata, but you're also a jnani. Because Vakta, Tadrasham, Unmadri, anybody who can teach like you, there isn't anybody else I can easily find, even if I search for them. Why would I settle for anything less than Purnatvam? Why would any mortal, Jiva Jiryan Martya, any mortal who is subject to deterioration, who lives on this earth, Kwadastha Prajanan, who understands that I am mortal. The I that I have understood I to be is mortal, is limited. Prajanan, knowing full well, not just Janan, Prajanan. Knowing myself to be that, and knowing that you are Ajirya, Amrita. Why would anybody be satisfied with anything less? Vadastha Prajanan. Anyone on this earth who has understood, who knows very well, I am limited as I understand myself. But there is the great possibility of discovering, literally discovering, uncovering the truth of this I with the help of a guru, with the help of the Shastra. Why would anybody be satisfied with all this anitya thing that you keep offering me? Because these varna rati pramodan, varna here is music. music, dance, all the other joys that you're offering, examining them, knowing their anityatvam, why would anybody settle for that? Why would want to live a long life and revel in that? Ati dhirge jivite ko ramete. Who would want to live? It's rhetoric. Nobody. Nobody in his senses, nobody who has capability to think will revel in the long life that you're offering of things which are all anitya. Think not only anitya, things with jarayanti tejaha. All the indriyas will deteriorate. Why would anybody revel in that? If it was a matter of getting a boon from somebody who only has a lot of wealth or a lot of power on the earth, okay, I can understand. If he says, okay, I can give you a few $1 million, take it. But I'm talking to Devata, Ajirya, Amrita, who has the power to grant me that Nityatvam by teaching me the nature of I. Amazing, I find this expressions of Nachiketa. Having known myself to be decaying mortal, any human being, having got this opportunity and having thought over this very carefully, all the limitations of the various pleasures, we told you there are 3 types of very basic limitations for any kind of pleasure that you can get. Anityatvam, dukkhena saha bhavishyatvam, atripti. What am I going to do with that? I recognize those differences. I recognize those. I know that a lot of people on the earth are working very hard to gain something because they don't know any better. Or they don't have an opportunity. I'm here sitting with you in Devaloka. You can't palm me away with anitya vastu. Which person will accept that? If you've got any kind of viveka, will want to enjoy this long life with all these anitya things. Having got to be with you, the undecaying, immortal one, even if it's only relative. Acharya develops on what he says. Because earlier 2 verses we saw, Nachiketa has already covered Kama Purushartha and Artha Purushartha. That they are not good enough. And now he's driving home the point, putting the last nail in the clarity, with clear understanding, this is not good enough. Bashyam. Ajiryatam
Ajiryatam
vayo hanim aprapnuvatam
Vayo Hanim Apraptuna
vayo is vayas, age. Hanim aprapnuvatam, one who does not age, who doesn't get deterioration of age. Therefore, ajiryatam. Amritanam
Amritanam
prakasham upetya.
Sakasham
Pranam, the one which again same kind of this thing. The one who is ajirya, does not deteriorate, one who does not die. Amritanam. To that, in fact, they're also again plural using. Ajiryatam, Amritanam, Tam. Him, having got close to, having approached, Sakasham Upetya, having got near, Upagamya, Upetya means Upagamya, Atmana Utkrishtam,
Atmana Utkrishtam
Prayojanantaram Pratavyam,
Prayojanantaram Praptavyam
Tebhyaha,
Tebhyaha
Prajanan Upalabhamanaha,
Prajanan
Upalabhamanaha.
Upalabhamanaha.
knowing that this Utkrishta Prayojanantaram, the highest benefit, highest gain that you can get, Praptavyam, because you approached this Ajiryatam Amritanam, you've got an opportunity. Tebhya Prajanan, knowing Upalabhamanaha, having known that, not only that, Swayam tu,
Swayam tu
Jiryan Matyaha,
Jiryan Matyaha
Jara Maranavan.
Jara Maranavan.
Not only do I know that you have the capacity, the capability to give me that boon, which is absolute. But I am not there. I am Swayam tu Jiryan Martyaha. You are Ajirya Amritaha. I am Jiryan Martyaha. I can't go to another Jiryan Martyaha and tell me, ask for this boon. But to you I ask, and I will not budge from there. Because you are Ajirya Amrita, and therefore capable of giving me this boon. I am Jiryan Martyaha, that is Jara Maranavan. I am subject to old age and death. I am subject to old age and death. You are not. You have the capacity to teach me that. There is nobody better than that for you for this. I'm not going to change. And the way he puts it is, Padastaha.
Padastaha
Acharya explains, Kuhu Prithvi
Prithvi
Adascha Antarikshadi Lokapekshaya
Adasya Antarikshadi Lokapekshaya.
Who is another name for Prithvi. Kuhu Adastaha. Adaha is below. Now, we all have this sort of imagination, which is all this Vargaloka, etc., above, and from compared to them, Earth is below. It's just a vision. There's no such physical evidence of this available. But that is how we refer to it. So, Kwa, here, Kuhu is Earth. Adahastha, that which is below. Below what? Antarikshadi. So Acharya says, Kuhu Prithvi Adascha. Adha means Antarikshadi Lokapekshaya. Compared to the various lokas that we visualize as being above us. You know, you have these 14 lokas according to Shastra, 7 lokas above and 7 lokas below the earth. Bhuha, Suha, Maha, Janaha, Tapaha, Satyam, etc. When we do the prayer also, we do know Om Bhuhu, Bhuha, Suha, Maha, San. We are saying all the steps. There are also Bhu, Patala, Sutala, Atala, Patala, etc., etc. So relative to these Antarikshadi, Bhu is below. So, Adaha cha antarikshadi loka apekshaya, compared to them below. Tasyam tishtati
तस्यां तिष्ठति
iti vadasthaha.
इति क्वदस्थः
Vadasthaha is one who is sitting on this bhumi, on this earth, which relative to these other lokas is below. That is what the word vadasthaha means. So, tasyam tishtati iti kvadastaha san, being that kind of knowing me to be a limited mortal living on the earth, knowing that I am now with you, an immortal. Kvadastaha san, katham evam vivekibhi
कथमेवं
कथमेवं
विवेकिभिः
prarthaniyam
प्रार्थनीयं
प्रार्थनीयं
putra vitta hiranyadi asthiram vrinite.
पुत्रवित्तहिरण्यादि
पुत्रवित्तहिरण्यादि
Why would somebody ask for this one who recognizes, who is a Viveki, who recognizes the limitations of the person as they are, because they are Kvadastaha san, being that kind of Kvadastaha, Katham evam aviveki bihi. Only a person who is unthinking person who will be satisfied with Putra Vitta Hiranyadi Asthiram. That which is Asthiram. However long it may be in terms of time scale, but it is still Asthiram. All the lokas that we can gain are Asthiram. Why would anybody who is not an Aviveki, why would he ask for these and be satisfied with it? Praptaniyam putra vitra hiranyadi asthiram vrinite. Why would he ask for that? I am not that. I think I am an intelligent person. I have enough information with me already to say that there is something I have to gain, and that gain is not going to come from more vitta, more putra, more ayu. Not going to come from there. More dance, more music, not going to come from there. Yep, I'm not going to ask for that. Kvadastaha is actually very clear. But Acharya, being very thorough, says there is another pathantaram. Pathantaram means another version of this, where instead of kvadastaha, it says kva tadastaha. If you split it differently, kvadastaha, kva tadastaha, kva tadastaha iti
क्व तदास्थः इति
va pathantaram.
वा
वा पाठान्तरम्
Another version of this Upanishad where you can split it as kva tadastaha iti. Even then the meaning is the same. What is the meaning? Kvadastaha, we saw the meaning is the one who recognizes himself or herself to be a resident of this earth, which is relatively below other lokas, who is a mortal, who is a limited being, who has had the fortune to meet you, who is immortal. Meaning comes out the same, but the Acharya explains it again. Says, Asmin pakshe
अस्मिन्
पक्षे
पक्षे
ta evam akshara yojana.
च एवम् अक्षरयोजना
In this viewpoint, in this variation, you read it like this. How? Teshu
तेषु
तेषु
putradishu astha.
पुत्रादिषु आस्था
Astha means asthitaha, asthitihi. One who is Teshu means here all that our Yamadharma is offering, all the anitya vastu that Nachiketa recognized as anitya. In them, one who is asthitihi, one who is totally involved in that. Tatparyena vartanam
Tatparyena vartanam
yasya sa tadasthaha.
Yasya
yasya
sa
tadastaha
One who is completely immersed in these laukika sukha vastu, all of which are anitya, atripti, that person will be called tadasthaha. Sa yasya sa tadasthaha. Person who is totally involved in only laukika sukham. Most of us can identify ourselves with that to a large measure. Tataha
tataha
adhikataram purushartham
adhikataram
adhikataram
purushartham
dushprapamapi
dushprapamapi
papipaishuhu
papipaishuhu
pa
kva
tadastaha bhavet
tadastaha
bhavet
na kaschid tat asarajyaha
न
nakaschit
कश्चित् तद्
asarajyah
असारजः
तत्थीम स्यात्
तदर्थं स्यात्
इत्यर्थः.
ityartha.
इत्यर्थः.
Here kwa is kaha, who, and tadasthaha is tadastaha. He is one who is involved in these anitya vastu. But he also wants to gain that purushartha, utkrishta purushartha. Adhikataram purushartham, even though dushprapamapi, very difficult to get, not easy to get. Dushprapamapi, prapapaishuhu, still he wants it because he is a viveki. Dushprapamapi, prapipaishu. It's like many times we say mumukshu, we say, where the first letter is duplicated to indicate one who wants moksha is mumukshu. Same way, prapipaishuhu, one who wants to gain that, even though it is dushprapam. Kva tadastaha bhavet, who will stay in that? Again, a rhetoric. Nobody. Listen, anybody who's got any ounce of thinking will not revel in this only. He will want something more because he's got some thinking. It is the same thing that we've been discussing. All of us have this question saying, what is the ultimate purpose of my life? What am I trying to do? Every karma that I perform, I'm trying to get some result. Is that the ultimate? Is that the end? Or is there something more? Without that kind of questions in our own mind, without that kind of thinking, we would not be sitting here in classes like this. Otherwise, we look like this, like a waste of time. That question comes to the mind of a Viveki. And he understands that this answer is not a one-word answer. Actually, the answer is a simple three-word answer, Tattvamasi. But to grasp and assimilate those three words takes a lot of Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasanam. Because I have Shraddha in the Shastra, and the Shastra says that is the only way. Nanya Pantha Ayanaya Vidyate. You cannot gain it any other way. So that who will want not to get that Utkrishta? Even though it is dushprapam, kva tadastaha bhavet na kaschit. Nobody. He himself gave a rhetoric and gave an answer. Na kaschit. Nobody will want this asaragnya. No sara. All these are because they are temporary, because they are atript leading, because they are not going to lead me to where I want. There is no sara, there is no interest, there is no ruchi. Tadarthim syat ityarthaha. So you can also read it the same, this patantaram, meaning is the same. Which person on this mortal earth who recognizes his situation, who also has an opportunity to approach a devata, who would want not to get this? Of course, everybody will want to get it. So you're trying to tempt me by giving me even alaukika results. Ye kama martyaloke you don't get. Even that I'll give you, he says. I don't want them. They're all still part of the same anitya jagat. So nobody will want kind of thing. सर्वो हि
सर्वो हि
उपरि उपरि एव
उपरि उपरि एव
भूषति लोकः
विभूषति लोकः
विपर्युपर्येव सर्वो हि उपरि उपरि एव. We all want to rise. One level of rising is from where I am to another level, another level, another level. But within the anitya jagat, another is to raise myself to the level of purnatvam. Everybody wants to raise. Sarvo hi upari upari eva bubhushati. Again, another duplication. One who wants to be bhavitum ichhati, bubhushati. You will come across this many places where there's a duplication of the first word indicating an ichha. Jignasa, jignasu. One who wants to know. Bubhushati. Bhavitum ichhati. Tasmat putra vittadi lobhaihi
पुत्र वित्तादि लोभैः
talobhyoham. I am not going to be swayed by all this putra vitta temptation you're giving me, the lobha you're giving me. Therefore, logically, he's coming to the point saying, because of these reasons, all these temptations you're giving me to incite my greed, lobha, I am not going to fall for that. You can desist. This is not going to work. Tasman na putra vitradi lobhaihi pralobhyaham. I am not going to be swayed by greed to accept these. Kincha apsara pramukhan
अप्सर प्रमुखान्
varnarati pramodan
वर्णरति प्रमोदान्
anavasthita rupataya
अनवस्थितरूपतया
vidhyayan
अविद्यायान्
nirupayan
निरूपयन्
tavat nirupayan. Ati Dhirge Jivite
Adidhe
Adhite
jivite
Jivite
Kaha Viveki Rameta.
kaha viveki
Viveki
rameta.
Rameta.
No Viveki will want to revel in a long life in these ephemeral gains. I understand this, therefore I am never going to be tempted by this. If I was still on Martyaloka and if I was still talking to somebody within the Martyaloka who is not a jnani like you, maybe take it up. But having come here, Apsara Pramukhan Varnarati Pramodan, coming face to face with Apsara, all the music and dance you're offering me, Gandharva music and celestial dance and so on, they're all Anavasthita Rupataya. They are unstable. Their Rupa is Anavasthita. There's no fixed stability in them. They will change. Might be a long time, but they will change. Knowing that, Abhidhyayan, Nirupayan, knowing all this, who is going to enjoy, who is going to revel in a long life in trying to enjoy these? Atidhirge jivite kaha viveki ramete. Which viveki, which thinking person is going to revel in the long life you're offering with only these things? You know what will happen? There will come a time when this will change. Then I look back and say, my God, I shouldn't have done this. How many times do we do this ourselves in our own lives? We do something, at that time it looks fantastic. It looks like there is an immediate gain, but that is over after some time. Then you look back and say, shucks, I should not have done this. But at that time it looked very tempting. So many times we've done this. I can't undo it now. This will happen. Any anitya thing that one enjoys, including drinking coffee, for example. At that time, it looked very nice. I'll have a cup of coffee. And then he goes to bed and he can't sleep. So, my God, I shouldn't have had that coffee in the evening. Because at that time, it looked very tempting. The taste looked very tempting. Or I shouldn't have had that last jalebi, I should have stopped short. Now my stomach is rumbling. Anything you take. I shouldn't have got into a relationship with that girl. Now I'm in trouble. Because it didn't last. Whatever sukha you were trying to experience by that experience is gone. And look back and say, my God, this happens with anything. Long life, music, dance, everything is offering are all subject to exactly the same thing. And this Nachiketa recognizes. I tell you, if we can not even going into Upadesha in the second Valli, just this Valli, the end, these 3 verses we read, this and the 2 previous verses, where Nachiketa breaks it down point by point and saying why this is not something I will take. If anyone can understand it, assimilate it, absorb it, is already a very long way towards gaining total success. Every argument that is there to not accept what looks like lobha, what looks like immediate benefit, immediate sukha. The world is moving towards that. Today, If you ask anybody anywhere in the world, they want instant gratification. That's the phrase they use now. Instant gratification. What it will do later, I don't know. Whether it is to do with environment, destroying forests, everywhere, the same logic applies. Because that instant sukha that I think I will experience, look back later and regret it. Now we have all these COP meetings all over the world saying, no, we made a mistake. Except that some people don't recognize that. They want to go back. But it's what we are doing. And probably a very good indication of Kali Yuga. Because we accept these immediate, instant gratification activities, not recognizing that later I will. See, this is what experience is all about. Why we respect age in our culture? Because people have gone through all this. They've had their temptations, they've had their greed, they've gone through it, they've recognized and regretted it. And said, my God, I need to be careful. So when they tell the youngster, this will lead you to trouble, youngsters don't want to hear it. Because they have not gone through it themselves. Experience and age has a value. Anybody who can genuinely understand and assimilate these arguments of Nachiketa and make it one's own, I think that person is already halfway there. Then Nachiketa concludes his arguments to Yamadharmaraja. Introducing the last verse, there's nothing there. Okay. The Tikakara says, I am not a fool to accept this. Incha utkrishta purushartha labhe sambhavati adhamam kamayamanam murkam eva aham syam. If you have to accept all this, I would be an unthinking person, which I am not. I am a thinking person. Bahunam evi prathamaha, if you remember, our Nachiketa said earlier, Bahunam evi madhyamaha, but I'm never the lowest. I am a thinking person. So he concludes the argument by saying, Yasminnidam vichikitsanti mrityo
Yasminnidam vichikitsanti mrityo
Samparaye mahati bruhinastat
Samparaye
mahati bruhinastat
Yoyam varo gudamanupravishtaha
Yoyam varo
gudamanupravishtaha
Nanyam tasman nachiketa vrinite.
Nanyam tasman nachiketa vrinite.
Nachiketa doesn't say, there is no other vara that I will ask for, I choose. He says, there is no other vara, Nachiketa chooses. He uses his name rather than the pronoun. Mrityu, Yasmin Mahati Samparaye idam yat vichikitsanti tat naha bruhi. Please tell us. Yaha ayam gudamanu prabishta varaha tasmat anyam varam nachiketa na vrinite. I don't want any other vara. So Acharya introducing the verse says, Ato vihaya
Ato vihaya
nityaihi kamaihi
anityaihi kamaihi
pralubhanam
pralobhanam
yanmaya prathitam.
yanmaya prarthitam.
What I've asked for is other than anityaihi kamaihi. That is, what I asked for is a nitya vastu. That is all I want. And therefore he says, let's not go anywhere else. Stay here. Acharya. Bashyam. Yasmin
Yasmin
prete idam vichikitsanam.
preta idam
idam
vichikitsan
Vichikitsanti.
vichikitsanti
What kind of vichikitsan? What kind of doubt? Asti nasti tyevam prakaram.
asti
nasti
nasti
evam
evam prakaram.
So after that, prete, this doubt, this vichikitsa. What kind of vichikitsa? Asti nasti va. Evam prakare. He mrityo.
He mrityo
Amparaye.
samparaye
Paraloka vishaye.
paraloka
paraloka
vishaye
vishaye.
Ampara is in normal usage means in the future. Here, samparaye means post-death, life after death. Is there a life after death? Is there something after death? That is the vichikitsa, no? So, Acharya says, samparaye paraloka vishaye. That is post this body's death. Mahati.
Mahati
Pratyojana nimitte.
mahat pratyojana nimitte.
Atmano nirnaya vijnanam yat.
Atmano nirnaya vijnanam yata.
Mahat prayojanam nimitte. That which is the greatest prayojanam. That vastu, atmanaha, with clarity, nirnaya vijnanam atmanaha yat. That which is, please tell me with absolute clarity, will ascertain the knowledge, that bruhi, tat bruhi,
Tadbruhi
kathaya,
kathaya
aha asmabhyam,
naha
asmabhyam
asmabhyam.
to us, asmabhyam. Please tell that which is post this death, which is the highest prayojanam, which tell us absolutely clearly. Tell us means here Nachiketa is talking about only himself, but he's saying tell us. More than one place we've seen is using plural. Mahati samparaye, afterlife, paralokatma, what happens post the death of this body in this mrityuloka. Kim bahuna
Kim
bahuna
yoyam prakrita atma vishayah
yoyam
yoyam
prakrita
prakrita
atmavishayah
paraha
paraha
gudam gahanam
gudam
gudam
gahanam
nirvivechanam
durvivechanam
nirvivechanam praptah
praptah
anupravishtaha
anupravishtaha
tasmad varat
tasmat varat
varad
anyam avivekibhi
anyam
avivekibihi
avivekibihi
arthaniyam anitya vishayam varam
prarthaniyam
vishayam
vishayam
varam.
varam
nachiketaha na vrinite
nachiketaha
Na
na vrinite
sapi iti
manasapi
sapi iti
iti
suter vachanam iti.
shrutervachanam iti.
So absolutely clear. This prakrita is Yoyam Prakrita is this topic we are discussing, my Vara. And the Vara is about Atma, nature of the Atma. What is the Atma? What is the nature of the Atma? Is there something? That Vishaya, Gudam, Maharhasyam, Gahanam, and very difficult to find. Durvivechanam Praptaha. because it has gone anupravishtaha, gone deep into the buddhi and covered by all kind of ajnanam. Tasmat varat anyam avivekibhi prathaniyam anitya vishayam varam. Therefore, these anitya vishaya a aviveki might ask for, I don't want. Nachiketa na vrinite. Again, using Nachiketa na vrinite. It didn't say aham na vrinite. Nachiketa na vrinite. Manasapi na vrinite. I won't even think about it. Forget about asking you for this and accepting your. I don't accept it even for a minute, not even in my dream. I am very clear. That's why I said the last 3 verses, mantras, if one can totally understand, then very clearly one would focus entirely on this. That's a somewhat difficult proposition, but I'm going to put in front of you. Acharya in many other places says, there is no substitute to sannyasa. What is sannyasa? Tyaga. Tyaga of what? Giving up all these anitya kamaha. There is no substitute. How do we get to that state? Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga is a beautiful prescription given by Bhagavan saying, look, today I am not in a position to mentally, physically, situationally, I am not in a position to focus 100% on this knowledge because of my own assumptions, because of situation, because of what I assume is my responsibility and so on. Bhagavan says, be a karma yogi. A karma yogi which will slowly bring that person to a state of total control over raga dvesha. That is all that's required. All these anitya vastu is coming as the result of my own raga and dvesha. I want to keep away from this. Only there. And karma yoga practiced correctly. It is not service without expectation. That is not karma yoga. One has to understand what is karma yoga. Karma yoga's objective is very clear. Karma yoga's objective is Atma Shuddhi. What is Atma Shuddhi? Total control over raga dvesha. No kama, no anitya vastu can evoke my pralobhanam. And therefore will come a stage when nothing else matters. And it will come in everybody's life sooner or later, if not in this janma, next janma. That confidence one has. That confidence Nachiketa already has. Maybe he's coming from previous janma, but he already has that confidence, has that certainty. That what I am seeking is this nitya vastu, purnatvam. And gaining that, I lose the I sense. There is no I sense. That is what that means. That I, as I know today, doesn't even exist. Therefore, I am becomes I is. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.